Monday, welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano with you today on another beautiful day in Chicago. It's been a nice little run here, other than the 5 inches of rain we got Saturday night as I was trying to leave the Justin Timberlake concert.
Yeah, good effort by you, Hoge.
No.
I'm so excited to see you on this Monday. There's so much going on right now. I don't even know where to start.
We made it. We had a video be released today that we'll have to talk about and address a little bit later on in the show.
Oh, yeah? We're artists.
Nah, I don't know if I'd go that far. Yeah, but
and that video maker will be on the program tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on the show. So we had already planned today to, as we sort of knock off the Bears' opponents this season and do some previews of opponents, to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. And coincidentally, on the same day, our longtime friend, both personally and professionally, and friend of this show, JJ Stankevitz, who is do everything for the Indianapolis Colts, released the first episode of this awesome narrative podcast series that the Colts are putting out called The Move, and it's all about the team's move out of Baltimore into Indianapolis in 1984. It's super interesting, and so it made sense to bring our guy JJ into the show today, and we'll talk some football, we'll talk some Colts, and we'll talk a little bit about this podcast. But first of all, JJ, congrats on getting this project done. I know you've been working on it for a long time. I think we first talked about it at the Combine, so it's been a long project, and I'm sure you're super excited to get it out today.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's been a blast putting it together. It's been a ton of work. Our radio guys, Casey Valier, Matt Taylor, put in a lot of work too that kind of goes beyond the bounds of their usual jobs. So can't thank them enough. But yeah, excited the final product got out today with episode 1, and we got 3 more episodes coming over the next 3 Mondays that are telling the story of why the Colts are in Indianapolis, which is not a very simple story to tell.
And I'll say this, like, you don't even have to be a Colts fan to enjoy, like, the history that kind of goes into just episode 1 when I was listening on the car ride here. So if you're an NFL fan, like, this is really cool stuff, and you definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
And JJ, I am an expert on doing things not to my full capacity and occasionally doing something as in-depth as you've done. And when you actually dive into that, it becomes a labor of love, and it's a lot of work. So when I was listening to it, I'm like, whoa, these guys put a lot of time into this. That thing doesn't fall out of just your standard podcast. So congrats on, I know you must have put a ton of time into it.
Yeah, quite a bit of time, but also still doing my job as the team writer. So you're trying to shoehorn in, like I was talking to Judy Batista for the podcast, 2 days before the NFL draft, being like, got to get this out before the Colts go on the clock. 'Cause if I don't talk to her now, I'm just going to forget about it for a week while I'm, writing about the draft picks and all that. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of work, but man, am I excited to get it out there now.
Yeah, so I want to spend a little bit more time talking about the pod and maybe some of the stories you have behind the scenes there. But first, let's talk some football. Let's talk about these Colts. And how about we start with this? Just what's your level of excitement as a Chicago guy who's now crushing it down there in India? Just this matchup, Bears and Colts, and the weather should be great in September still, and just as it seems like it's going to be a really fun weekend for a lot of Chicagoans to come down to Indy. And I don't know what our plans are, but we should go.
Good idea, Hoge.
Yeah.
Well, Indianapolis is we're known pretty well, and it's been cool to see the profile grow as a pretty good city to come visit, whether it's been for the U.S. swim trials that were at Lucas Oil Stadium or the NBA All-Star Game. It's a great spot to come to. So I'm excited to welcome, hopefully all you guys down to Indy, as many Chicagoans who can come down, but, maybe just like let Colts fans like sit in their seats for the game. Cause I would prefer a Colts win to come out of the game, but I don't know, man, I'm excited for the game just cause you get it early. Like we get to see here in Indy. I'm so intrigued at what the Bears offense is going to look like with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, some of the other, Shane Waldron coming in. What does that look like? You get this kind of early look at it. For the Colts, though, I think it sets up better than if we got the Bears in December, where there's this feeling out period with Caleb Williams and with Shane Waldron where, okay, maybe get off to a bit of a slow start, kind of like the Colts last year where they caught CJ Stroud early in the year in week 2. And they got up big in that game. CJ, he put up pretty good numbers, but they were maybe a little empty calorie in the second half where the Colts were ahead by a lot. But then by week 18, when Stroud came back to Indy, it was like, oh my God, this guy is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So maybe that works in the Colts' benefit just to get that game early. But I'm fascinated by what the Bears are doing, what their plan is, and how it's all going to look this year.
So along those lines, do you think long-term it might have benefited Anthony Richardson that he ended up, not the getting hurt part, but that he didn't end up playing a ton in year 1?
I don't know. Like, I think it's a silver lining to a bad situation. Like, I think, it's an easy thing to spin of like, oh, it's a good thing that he didn't play and, he'll be better for it. Like, I think the thing that I've learned about Anthony Richardson is that he's going to be better for whatever circumstances he goes through. But I think playing probably would have had more of a benefit because we never saw the evolution of this offense. Like we saw 3.5, 4 games, if that, of what it could be. And it was sort of this glimpse, like this like thunderbolt of like the Rams game, the second half of that, and just being like, this is what this guy can do. Like, okay, like we got a stew cooking here. And then it kind of ends. I think the learning behind the scenes will help him in that he saw how, he got to see Gardner Minshew do it for a full year, basically. And, Gardner is a vet, a guy who's a true professional who goes about his business the right way. I think that stuff all will benefit Anthony, but, ultimately it's going to come down to playing and how does Anthony Richardson kind of take the counter punches NFL defenses are going to throw at him and grow off of that? How does Shane Steichen say, okay, hey, we do this well, but now let's accentuate that even more. Let's lean into this thing even more than we would have last year. And then the other part of it is we saw Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson on the field for 2 plays last year. That was it. One was a little like dump off to JT that gained, I think, a yard. And then the other was like a 3rd and 23 where the ball didn't go to Jonathan Taylor. So you don't know what that aspect of the offense is going to look like. It probably would have been beneficial for Anthony to get those reps with JT last year. But the larger point that I just keep coming back to is like everything that I've heard about Anthony, everyone I talk to in this building is just kind of like giving you that look of like, you see that, you see that, you see that, like in OTAs. And there is such confidence here in what Anthony Richardson can be that it's fascinating on how the season's going to play out.
So, JJ, with the offensive weapons that are around Anthony Richardson right now, you go Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, like you said, didn't play much with Anthony Richardson. What are the vibes like from what you've seen from Richardson in camp coming off the injury to where he's at right now and how you project him to be in the 2024 season?
I quickly want to just shout out the comment down there from Illini McG, just because this is something I've thought about. And I remember having this conversation with, I don't know if it was you, Hoge, down at the joint practices last August. But like, yeah, Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson, you might look at them and say, oh yeah, they're similar. They can run. They maybe aren't super accurate, whatever. What Anthony Richardson has that I never saw out of Justin Fields is pocket presence, pocket awareness. This guy does not take sacks, and when he does, they'll lose a yard. They're not catastrophic. He gets the ball out quick. He knows where to go with the ball, but he also knows how to field pressure. He's so good at feeling pressure. Just turn on the Rams tape from last year and watch how he navigated Aaron Donald bearing down on him on it felt like 1 in every 2 snaps Aaron Donald was in the backfield in that game. So that's kind of to me, that's the foundation of Anthony Richardson's game that allows him to then, like you're asking, Nick, about the weapons around him, that allows him to get the ball in those guys' hands in a way that, he's not just like 1 to 2 to run. He's 1 to 2. Okay, if I have to escape the pocket because I felt pressure over here, I'm keeping my eyes downfield and I'm trying to throw a dot on Josh Downs' back shoulder 25 yards downfield. That's something that is just kind of baked into his game. The weapons, I think, are really going to be accentuated by the addition of Adonai Mitchell. Watching this guy during OTAs, he moves totally different than anyone I can remember who's 6'2", 205. Like the way that his hips sink in and out of breaks is like, he's like a slot receiver, like 5'9", 170 you would expect. And watching how some of our DBs had to play it, it's like, okay, I know the pads aren't on. I know it's just shorts and helmets and all that. But like, man, I think this guy could really be a weapon right off the bat. And especially down in the red zone, I think that's going to be a really interesting spot for him. Michael Pittman Jr. is kind of your possession guy, your go-to reliable guy. You need a 3rd and 7, you need 8 yards, you're going to throw it to Pitt. Josh Downs, I think, still has some more upside after a really impressive rookie season. But overall, this offense, I think, is going to really push the ball downfield more than we saw last year, where the Colts are never able to get into that offense with Anthony Richardson because he got hurt. And then you had Gardner Minshew, who is kind of he's going to dink and dunk it. He's going to get the ball out quick. He's going to get it where it needs to go, but he doesn't have the arm strength to push it downfield the way that you can with Anthony Richardson. And then you throw in the fact that the other guy who I've been getting a look at here, like, when I pass folks in the hallway and they're like, you see JT? The Colts are expecting big things out of Jonathan Taylor this year. So then you add in the threat of that dynamic run game with JT and Richardson in the backfield. How do you defend an offense that wants to push it downfield, but also hopefully can run the ball effectively this year?
I mean, it's exciting. I think I put the Colts in a bucket of teams that, similar to the Bears, if these 2 or 3 things happen, could really break out and be a fun team to watch, or, they might be held back. So I could ask that question to you both ways. If, let's say the Colts have a great season where they win the division and they win, let's say, at least 2 playoff games or something like that as somewhat of a possible ceiling, what will have gone right for that to happen? And then on the flip side, if they miss the playoffs, what will have gone wrong?
So for going right, I think it starts with like Anthony Richardson goes supernova. Like he comes out and it's like, I think CJ Stroud is probably going to establish himself as one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL this year. If Anthony Richardson is in that discussion of like top 7, 8 quarterbacks in the league this year, I think that's a starting point, Hoge, for kind of what goes right for this team. Then I think it is, okay, Jonathan Taylor has a really big season. He gets back up to averaging 5 yards a carry, which he was at in 2020 and 2021. And then on defense, I think the pass rush that the Colts continue to invest in with Laiatu Latu in the first round, you get a pass rush that's able to roll guys in, goes 8, 9 deep. You get a great season, great first year out of Latu. You get another Pro Bowl season out of DeForest Buckner. You get that front 7 is as good at stopping the run as any front 7 in the league. And then the back end, which is a concern for a lot of folks on the outside here, you get a development from Juju Brents, who's a second-year corner out of Kansas State. He turns into a legitimate shutdown corner on the outside. I think those are kind of all the things there. If you're looking at, hey, this is best case, and you don't have to squint all that hard to see it, that's probably what plays out. I think the flip side, it's probably Anthony Richardson doesn't play a full 17 games. He's not able to show that he can stay healthy for an entire season. So that's kind of the starting point for a disappointing year. I think the defense, the Colts feel good about their defense. They retained Gus Bradley for a 3rd year. as defensive coordinator, but they did give up, I think it was bottom 5 or 6 in the league in points allowed. So the defense continues to give up more points than they feel like they should. You have a season where Anthony maybe gets hurt. He's not able to play all 17 games or a good chunk of those. And that's probably your recipe for a team that does not compete to not only make the playoffs, but be competitive in the playoffs.
So slight left turn here, JJ. I've always had a crush on Gardner Minshew ever since I talked to him after his rookie season. The dude's just awesome. How much do you think the Colts will miss him? I know that, just as far as the locker room presence, not necessarily on the field. And the other side of it is, do you think the Raiders made a mistake in signing Gardner and not making the trade the Steelers made for Justin?
So first of all, the Colts will miss Gardner Minshew in the sense that he was such a great distiller of Shane Steichen's ideas within that quarterback room, because he had 2 years in Philly with Steichen before he came to Indy with Shane last year. The Colts, though, they signed Joe Flacco. So who better to, tell Anthony Richardson, hey, man, you can't go there, the ball, can't go here with the ball on this play against this coverage, because he's probably seen it 50 times in his career. So I think from just a veteran standpoint, to pair with Anthony Richardson, I don't think the Colts are going to lose all that much. I'll say this for the Raiders and for Gardner Minshew. Like, if you are looking to set a culture within your building, there are not many quarterbacks who are available this year who I would rather set a culture with than Gardner Minshew. I think he was really key in that helping establish Shane Steichen's culture here in Indy, that now he can go do that with Antonio Pierce in his first year in Las Vegas. So I can't speak much to Justin Fields. Like, I missed that era in Chicago, but I can speak to Gardner. And I think he's a guy who, if you're trying to establish this is what we stand for as an organization, and this is our quarterback who's going to help us do it, he's a pretty good fit for that.
Well, as we continue to talk about the Colts here, if you're thinking about making the trip down to Indy, I suggest you bring some Miller Lite with you.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, no,
I think a
that's
lot
a
of
good
Bears
move.
fans will be doing that.
It's the only way to survive that town.
I'm
I'm kidding, JJ.
Wow.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
You just don't know where to go, man.
No. I moved in here right now. I just said, you had to throw a little bit of tase down the old, as Chet Coppa used to call it, Naptown, for the one person that gets that reference. Naptown.
Yeah. Chet. Okay, so we'll get into the podcast, but Chet, I didn't actually get audio of Chet for it, but he actually played a little part in the Colts coming here.
Ooh, that's a good team.
Wow.
Nuggets.
Wow.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, some things need to change, like where the Colts once played and then moved to a different place. But one thing that does not, that's the great taste of Miller Lite, the original light beer. To this day, still the best one. Miller Lite has more of the taste you want, less of the stuff you don't. We love Miller Lite. I had some Miller Lites over the weekend. Great weekend in the city. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need, holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. No matter how your team changes, you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/CHGO football, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
For the record, if you kicked me out of Chicago, I think Indy would be on like my top 3 list. You got an NBA team, you got an NFL team, you got Big Ten buckets. I mean, I'm in. All right.
Caitlin Clark.
That's true, too.
Yep.
That's true, too. Hey, come with us to London. We want to see you there. My life, Greg Braggs' life, Hoge's life, Nick's life will be so much better if you join us via True Fan Travel. It is your passport to the world of sports. They've been everywhere, 8,000 plus fans traveling over 145 plus trips, and they do it all with hassle-free travel planning by travel experts who make sure that every detail is covered, from game day to excursions, all the things flight to London, 4 to 5-star hotel accommodations, welcome event, private boat cruise, all-inclusive tailgate party, upper-level ticket to the game. Obviously, that's huge. We're hooking you up with everything you need. Transportation, airport transfers, on-site trip coordinators, breakfast every morning. I'll be down there. Hope they have a nice fresh squeezed OJ. That feels good. Let's get going here. Meet and greet with the CHGO team. We're doing it all. This is what you got to do. Go to truefantravel.com, make your deposit, secure your spot, and I believe the cutoff is July the 31st. Is that correct, Hoge? All right. Well,
according to Braggs, who
he's the one running this.
July 31. So just get your deposit in today. Don't wait till then. But it is coming up that this thing's going to get locked down. So we've got a bunch of you. We want more. truefantravel.com.
Coincidentally, the fresh squeeze OJ story that happened in Carmel, Indiana.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's true.
You don't even remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
That is where that happened.
It wasn't fresh squeezed.
No, it was not.
It's a complete
you got
travesty.
ripped off.
It was Minute Maid.
But we're not going to hold it against Carmel. JJ, can you pay off that tease you just gave us with Chet, or do we need to wait for the podcast?
Okay, so here's the tease. Is in 1977, the Indiana Pacers were on the verge of financial collapse. Like, they couldn't even meet payroll. So Nancy Leonard, who was the GM of the team, she was the wife of head coach Slick Leonard, who's a legend around these parts, proposed this kind of last-ditch option, which was a Jerry Lewis-style telethon called the Save the Pacers Telethon. They had to sell 8,000 season tickets to remain financially viable. And I talked to a number of people here in Indy who told me that if the Pacers collapsed and they moved, there would have been no shot Indianapolis even builds the Hoosier Dome and attracts the Colts. So where Chet comes in is that Chet hosted that telethon, which is like, isn't that the perfect Chet Kopic role, hosting a telethon?
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could have found like the whole thing just to hear Chet encourage people to call in and buy your season tickets. Like, that would have been, I wish I could have found that. But there's actually a 30 for 30 short on it that I watched where I think you see a little bit of Chet in there.
Come back right now and do that for the White Sox.
I can't believe that I brought up Kopic and JJ doubled down with an even better Kopic story, which his entire dream, like if you talk like in some Kopic interviews, like it's like I really just wanted to be like the carnival guy. Just to sit there and do, like, that's really what he wanted to do. And that sounds like exactly what he did there. So Kopic saved the Pacers, baby. Kopic on sports.
And brought the Colts
and
to
ended
Indy.
Yeah, there you go.
Circle.
That's good stuff.
That's great. So, all right. What do we need to know about this pod? I listened to the first 46 minutes of the first episode, and I'm gonna reiterate what Nick said earlier. You do not need to be a Colts fan and listen to this. If you are a football fan who cares an ounce about history, it is super interesting. There's stuff I did not even know that owners could just trade teams. That was the thing that happened. I didn't even know that that's how that happened for Robert Irsay to own the Colts in the first place. So little nuggets like that are super interesting. So what else, JJ, should we know about this podcast series?
I think the biggest thing, Hoge, is that, like, I went into this, like, yes, I am a Colts employee. Yes, I work for the team. And this is coming out on the Colts official audio podcast channels. But I went into this as I tried to go into it as a journalist, as a reporter, as someone who wanted to dive into what the truth was. Why did the Colts leave Baltimore? Why did they come to Indianapolis? Because if you talk to folks in Baltimore, like I texted Rich Campbell, our old friend Rich Campbell, who is from the region, formerly the Chicago Tribune, he covered the Bears for a while there. And I was like, hey, like, I'm doing this podcast. And he was just like, why do you want to piss off everyone in Maryland? I was like, look, I get it. Anytime the Colts are mentioned, it's just like anger. But I think I tried to be as fair as I could in reporting the story of why they had to leave. And it began with Memorial Stadium, which was the decrepit facility that the Colts played in. And it goes to what you were talking about, Adam, with the trade of the franchise. Is the first owner of the Colts wanted out of Baltimore so badly that he was willing to do this trade of franchises to go be the owner of the Rams and go move out to the West Coast. So there are so many different layers to this that go kind of beyond Robert Irsay, who's sort of villain number one and still is in the Mid-Atlantic. But in doing this, I also really tried to take care of the story of the Baltimore Colts, because it still is such an emotional thing. Like, as I'm talking to people for this story, for the podcast in Baltimore, in Maryland, and you're getting into minute 30, into minute 45 of these conversations, and you're feeling like the rage building in them, like the stuff that they haven't accessed in their brain for a while is starting to bubble back up. Of like, I really hate that guy. Like, that was really interesting to kind of follow through this. And then the flip side of it is Indianapolis. Like, it is wild how they were able to get the Colts, how they were able to have the political will to build a 60,000 seat stadium without a team. Like that, if this didn't work, if the Colts never came here, that would be like a joke. That would be on Mayor Bill Hudnut's tombstone, as like the idiot that built the Hoosier Dome. And instead, he's the mayor who brought the Colts here. So there's so much I could get into. There's so much I can talk about, but it is a story that is, like you said, I hope NFL fans can appreciate it, but also just like, even if you're not a fan of football, it's got like political intrigue. It's got just some like wild economic stuff. It's got, this whole concept of eminent domain coming into it. Like there's just like wild layers, like wheels within wheels on this thing.
So JJ, and again, the podcast is called The Move. Go check it out. You can get it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's fantastic. From what you learned about what happened in Baltimore, what you not only already knew from living outside Indy now, and being very intertwined in right before our show, didn't Indy just announce some big WrestleMania deal or something that's happening there too? Like, it's event after event after event. These swimming trials that they just had at Lucas Oil Stadium it was so cool. They put a freaking pool inside the stadium, and they got huge crowds there. It's awesome on TV. What does Kevin Warren have to do? You lived here, you know how different it is, but how the hell is Indy pulled this off in a city like that, where when these events aren't going on, there's nothing going on there? That's the big difference.
I think that's a really good question. I think Indianapolis is somewhat unique in that back in the early 1970s, you're right. It was a city that like it didn't have much going on. It was like, okay, you pay attention to Indy for one weekend in May for the 500, and then you forget about it. There's not anything there. There are like 2 restaurants downtown and like 1 hotel. There's really nothing. But the local leadership, civic and business, recognized that they could become a destination city for events by investing in sports. So they built Market Square Arena, which was the former home of the Pacers, which was pretty controversial at the time to build that in the early 1970s. And from there, then they also completed the Indianapolis Convention Center, which is where I see you guys at the Combine every year, and hopefully for every year after this. And they then continued to build. Okay, hey, we got Market Square Arena here. Then they started investing in amateur sports. So the NCAA is headquartered here, but so is USA Track and Field, USA Diving, USA Gymnastics. All these Olympic governing bodies are here. And then they decided, let's build the Hoosier Dome to try to attract an NFL team. And I think Indianapolis kind of having this blank slate as a city almost, where it really was kind of built up from not much, allowed the city to become this destination where they could be very targeted with it, because it wasn't a city that had all these other political machinations going on in it, these other forces within the city. It was just sort of like civic and business leaders came together and said, this is the plan. And for over 50 years, they've executed it incredibly well. Whereas Chicago has a lot more going on, like you said, and having the business community and the civic community be on board with the teams is not like, that's something that Indianapolis really like nailed. They stuck the landing on that, and that's not easy for every city to do. So, I don't know totally the ins and outs of, the Kevin Warren deal and the stadium deal on the lakefront and all that, but I will say, like, Indianapolis having like everyone lined up and then having the political will to do it, and then probably most importantly, it working, has allowed the city to expand and grow in ways that are just incredible for a city that otherwise no one would have really gave a crap about 50 years ago.
Well, JJ, thanks so much for your time today. The podcast is awesome. Encourage everyone to go check it out, and enjoy some time off here too. And then
I'm sure we'll have JJ on later in the year to preview Bears Colts when during the season. So.
Yeah, who wins week 3, JJ? Make a prediction right now. You can change it before the game.
Colts 23, Bears 17.
Ooh, take that, Hoge.
Take that, Bears.
Why do I?
By the way, that scoreline is the biggest cop-out of any scoreline you can possibly get. It's like the most common score in NFL history or something. So like I'm chickening out here, but you asked me on June 24th, so let me give you a chicken out answer. I'll give you something better closer to game time.
One of the teams wins 23-17.
He picked the Colts.
I like that one.
He's picking Indy. He's in your face, Hoge.
I picked Indy over Chicago 3 years ago, and I'm going to just keep picking Indy over Chicago at this point. Although, still put Marconi on my chicken and rice for lunch today. So I got to retain a little part of me here.
Indy over Chicago didn't work so well yesterday, did it?
Yeah.
Take that, Caitlin
Damn
Clark.
it.
Angel Reese in your face.
Rooting for the Fever here.
JJ, thanks so much, man.
I want to go down to Indy and see a Fever game. See you, JJ.
JJ Stankevitz. He's the best. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at JJ Stankevitz. And again, the podcast is called The Move. It's just one of these short, it's like a mini-series podcast. I like these things.
They're
in and out, few episodes, learn some things. Perfect time of year to do it.
It's so up your alley. It's well produced. It's got all the information.
Reminds me like one of those true crime kind of podcasts. Yeah, like one of those. Like I love those. Just listening on a car ride.
So, we need to take a break here, but real quick, I have wanted to do one of these for years now on the 2014 Chicago Bears season. And now that we're at 10 years, it's like such a miss. It's such a miss. The stories that came out of the locker room, and now we're 10 years removed, a lot of those players would tell them.
The story of the 2014 Chicago Bears?
The story that you
What's the
haven't
title?
heard.
I know this was before that you paid attention to the Bears.
The face.
But
You...
the most ridiculous season
in
like
Chicago Bears
ever.
history? That's the title?
Perhaps Chicago sports history. The amount of insane things that happened during that season.
I'm already like intrigued.
With Brandon Marshall, Aaron Cromer, Mark Trestman, Lamar Houston tearing his ACL in a sack in a blowout.
Second
You
Jimmy
could go to any game from that season and something Phil Emery's research report he had at a press conference at the bye week attacking Brian Urlacher for some take he had on Twitter.
Do the pod. Let's go.
I don't have time. That's why I brought this up, which is why I'm so impressed that JJ and the staff at the Colts actually spent, because he just spent like 5 months on this thing.
I mean, to interview that many
for 4
people.
episodes.
Yeah, when I was listening to him, like, this thing is
well produced.
A lot of work.
A lot of people, yeah.
I mean, it's not as much work as we put in today's show. We really dove deep today to provide you with the amount of entertainment we're providing.
Yeah, wait till you hear this next topic that Carm came up with.
Oh, we're doing that today?
Well, at this point, let's just get it over with. Please.
Oh, we're going to get it over with.
Please.
Wow.
God only
Wow.
know what's happening.
Okay.
Let's send it out
Jesus.
into the internet on June 24th. We'll hopefully get buried.
Well, we'll leave and we'll just leave Carman.
I've done that.
To do it.
It wouldn't be anything new. We should hippie nerd. You gotta spell Trestman's name correctly. He is not Mark with a K. I'm Mark with a K. He is Mark with a C.
Steven, we're gonna have to keep track of Hoge walkouts on Carm this year. Might set a new record. All right. In the meantime, something that could definitely help with all of this is taking a trip to Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. They're here to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. Unlike how we will judge each other's segments on the show, Sunnyside's judgment-free. They have a crazy selection of over 100 different strains to choose from. With easy online ordering and in-store pickup wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. If you're right here in the city, they got you covered. If you're south, they go as far as Champaign. You're headed up to Wisconsin, well, far north is South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Floracal. And here in time for the summer is Good News' Tea Time disposable vape, bringing classic lemonade flavor that's perfect for the course because we all need a little help staying loose on the green, especially Greg.
Loser.
Have you seen that guy putt?
Who, Greg?
No. I fixed this.
You fixed his
I
putting?
fixed his putting.
Wow.
I took like 5 strokes off his game in 1 round.
I believe it because what he was doing wasn't putting.
It was bad, yeah.
It was like chipping.
Yeah, he's good now.
He's not
I know
good, but
He putted really well. Sorry, carry on.
well, in the meantime, go check out Sunnyside. Maybe pick up the Mindy Segal's award-winning chocolates. How about that?
I love
That'll
chocolate.
get you going. You can by heading to sunnyside.shop. Use code HICHGO at checkout for 35% off brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Go check out Sunnyside, and I want everybody to check out Circa Sports. They have tight money line splits and low hold models. Games, they'll strive to be at a minus 110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use a minus 115 or minus 120 splits. And Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to some of those other books. And they also have high app limits and transparency. Look, Circa Sports does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. And look, Circa's all about transparency. They encourage bettors to download and explore other sports betting apps available. Compare the lines for yourself, and you'll see what we're talking about here. And, of course, Circa's also got the best customer service. There are real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. And all aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sports book at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Go download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also, be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They're with us for all of our Cubs Friday 120 clubs. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyoureallywinning.com. They're also coming out with us to our, the road trip to Milwaukee on Saturday, June 29th at 9 a.m. So if you want to come hang out with some of the Bears crew here, you can do that. Circa's going to be with us for the whole ride there. Should be a really fun time. And I said I'm going drink for drink with Braggs. We'll see how that goes.
This is starting to turn into a CHGO Bears takeover because we are literally taking over this bus.
Yeah.
Damn right we are.
I'm going, Carm's going, Nick's going, Greg's going if he cancels his tea
Steven's
time.
going right now,
I
too.
might be going.
Steven might be going.
Wow.
We'll just do a podcast on the bus.
We could do it. There's still tickets available, so go to our events page, allchgo.com/events, and come with us. There's the bus leaving from the city, stopping at Circa in Waukegan.
Yep.
That's probably where I'm going to be getting on.
Same.
And then,
Ditto.
headed up to
Milwaukee.
beautiful. I'm still calling it Miller Park.
Hoge spot.
Especially because they're a sponsor here. It'll be my 4th Brewer game of the year, believe it or not.
It is
Wow.
Miller Park. I don't care what they call
Wait,
it.
what is it actually called? What is it?
AmFam Field, American
Oh.
Family Field now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Miller Park.
Can we real quick? Do we have that Alec Pierce video?
We do.
Get that up.
Okay.
Just a sec.
Just to close the book on the Colts, and then we're gonna switch the topic.
Sure.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, because Alec Pierce, who is Colts wide receiver from the area, Glen Ellen, I believe, and he had a camp over the weekend that we sent our guy Patrick Norton to just check out. He's awesome. These athletes that do these camps with kids across, I think basically do them all over. But we hear about them here in Chicago because these guys that are from Chicago come back from their teams. Alec Pierce, of course, plays for the Colts. Now, apparently he was also a Packer fan growing up. So you get a little snippet of this in here. But just to close the book on the Colts, Alec Pierce was asked about playing this game against the Bears and how excited he is about Caleb Williams, even though he's on the other team.
In your career, so this will be the first time that you are playing the Packers.
Yeah.
This will be the first time that in the regular season that you are playing the Bears.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of chip on your shoulder that, you're going up to Green Bay and then you're playing at Lucas Oil for the Bears game?
Yeah.
What do you look forward to in that game? What will it be like kind of playing the local team?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I was really hoping we would play the Bears at home, but it'll be cool that I'm playing in Indy also, and I'm excited to go up to Orlando. It's going to be a special game for me. I have so much family up in Wisconsin, so I'll probably have countless, the most random amount of people there. Like a lot of people probably won't have anybody go to that Wisconsin game for them because it's hard to get to Green Bay. But for me, I got a bunch of family. I can just drive an hour or two, get up there. So I'll have a lot of people in the stands, fans in the stands. And then I know everyone keeps talking to me about this Bears game. Like people from home, when I go back, they're like, "Hey, I heard you play the Bears early." So everyone's super excited about the Bears here. Because most of my fans are. It's nice. I'm in the AFC. Like I think they can kind of be they're Bears fans, but then I think they root for the Colts a little bit, too, because they root for me. So yeah, it's super exciting. Everyone's super excited about Caleb Williams. That's what I keep hearing. Oh, it's gonna be so fun to watch you guys play Caleb. So I agree. Like I think the Bears have an exciting future, and it's gonna be a good game. So I'm excited to get after that.
I think it's going to be a fun day early on in Caleb's career. Colts. I think the Colts are similar to the Bears in that there's kind of a range of outcomes for the season, and a lot of it depends on the quarterback play, the young quarterback play.
And look, Caleb's going to get tested with that Colts defensive line. They had 51 sacks last season, set a Colts record, and they added Leatu.
And they added
they're a problem.
Top defensive player, first guy off the board in the draft. And Carm is so scared about this, he has a take he would like to share with all of you.
I love that Steven just instantly is laughing behind the scenes.
It's
here.
a bad take.
Wow. Oh, okay. All right. Well,
this is where he backs it down.
First of all, to say that
before even giving it.
Okay, you need to stop talking. You need to stop laughing. Nick, why don't you just listen in here? So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys are aware, but this football season that's upcoming, 2024, is about Caleb Williams. It's not even about the Bears. It's about developing a quarterback and finally getting past the point that Sid Luckman from the 1940s is the greatest quarterback that's ever played football here. And so what I was doing this morning was thinking about the greatest football players of all time. And who's the greatest quarterback of all time, Hoge?
Michael Jordan.
Okay, Michael Jordan is not correct.
Tom Brady.
Sorry, I thought that was the only answer you would accept.
Tom Brady. How many games did Brady play his first year?
Oh, my God. I'm not doing this.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, he got in one game. He went 1 for 3, all right? He didn't play at all. He wasn't going to even play to start the second season until Mo Lewis of the New York Jets came in.
So Tom Brady's good because he didn't play his rookie year. That's your take?
That's not my
finish.
take. That is not my take. My take is just
because I'll do that for every single one you're going to mention.
Okay, how many years did Aaron Rodgers sit?
3.
Okay, how many games did Patrick Mahomes play his first year?
1.
That's correct. All right. What about when did Joe Montana become a full-time starter?
No idea.
His
I
third
didn't cover
year.
that season, unlike you.
Dan Marino.
Don't know that one.
Are you going to name all the ones who did play as a rookie?
No, I'm not. Because,
okay, I just want to check.
Well, but if you want to do that, you go back last year. There's Bryce Young, his year, and then there's C.J. Stroud. So, yes, okay, it could go one way or the other. That is the whole point. My point is this, Hoge, Nick, Steven.
Didn't mention Joe Burrow.
There's
Josh Allen.
I mentioned that there are both sides. This is my point, all right? And, Tyler Dunn did an amazing piece that we talked about at length.
We brought him on the podcast.
And we had him on here. And I went back for whatever reason and was reading it again today. And I'm reading it as I'm processing what I saw at OTAs, which was a supremely talented guy who did not look very good in 7-on-7s, was holding the ball, running out of bounds, looked a little bit confused. The Bears were trying to make him confused, which is totally cool. Let's see where we're at. But let me just read this to you, if I may, Hoge. And he is.
Me too, Nagy.
What's me?
Still waiting on Carm's point.
Exactly as Allen Iverson needed to be a chucker as he goes NBA here with Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, and Tyrone Hill, it appears Williams had no choice but to create. This is his last season at USC. Unquestionably, Williams developed bad habits that could bite him in the pros. It's hard to imagine any quarterback spinning away from Nick Bosa at his own 2-yard line. The question, can NFL coaching clean up those bad habits, or will he try street balling in the pros? Or worse, and this is where I really got nervous this morning, did those wildly entertaining plays cover up a glitch in this quarterback sequencing? Athleticism maxed the absence of processing only for so long. Not everyone is sold that Williams can zip through progressions, including the man who threw for the most yards in a season in Bears history. And then they go on to talk about how Eric Kramer doesn't think he was the best pick. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm damn-ass glad that Caleb Williams was the pick. I'm damn-ass glad he's the Bears quarterback of the future. I also think that it is – you have to deal with what is. And when they get into training camp and they get into, more importantly, the preseason games, how he looks to me will matter. And if he does look overwhelmed, I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm saying that if he does, the Bears should have an open mind about when they are going to play him. I know that Matt Eberflus has already said that there's no debate that he's the starter, and hopefully he looks exactly like that. However, if he doesn't, which would be totally fine, the greatest player of all time didn't play immediately, and so did a zillion other quarterbacks. He does not have to be out there week one. I think the Bears should have an open mind as to really look at what is and what's best for Caleb. That's all I'm saying. Hoge completely disagrees to the point that he's silent. Nick is giving me a little bit of a nod. Steven wants to run out of here.
So your point is, if he sucks in the preseason, he should sit.
Yeah, that's correct.
If he sucks in the preseason, we have bigger problems.
Why? It doesn't have to be that big of a problem. It doesn't. That would be a normal thing.
I'll say this. I think his playmaking ability, you could see it both ways. Could it be a detriment to what he can do in the NFL? Yes, but Ryan Poles, he was on the Adam Schefter podcast, and he said that was one of the reasons why they loved Caleb Williams. The creativity, the ability to, it's like he called it, Ryan Poles, it's the new outlier in sports, guys that are creative and feel the game. I think that's what Caleb Williams does really well, but I think there needs to be a balance to it. He can't keep doing what he was doing in college in the pros, but it is also what Ryan Poles and that staff looked at that made him special. So I think there needs to be a balance to it, Carm, but
yeah, no,
the only reason not to play Caleb would be if you don't have the infrastructure in place. They went out, they drafted Roma Dunes, they spent a 4th-round pick on Keenan Allen, they have all the weapons around him. Unless 5 guys show up on that offensive line that literally cannot play in the NFL, it is a waste of time and resources to not play Caleb Williams and get him as many reps as possible as soon as he can get them. And I also disagree, after your 5-minute whatever that was, the first sentence you said I disagreed with, which was that this season is only about Caleb Williams. That is no longer the case. It's a lot about Caleb Williams. You now have a 4-year window to win, and this is one of those years. And I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but you need it's not acceptable to win 3 games this year, but come out of it and be like, oh, Caleb was good. No. This is a 4-year window to win that you have. It's not just about Caleb Williams. It's a waste of Keenan Allen's talent to just come in here and say that dropping a fourth round pick on Keenan Allen, they're not trying to win it all either.
I'm not worried about Keenan Allen in his 18th year in the NFL, whether he has a great year. But the goal is to win the Super Bowl. You've got to get an elite quarterback.
I'm just saying it's wrong to say that this is only about Caleb Williams. That was the case the last 2 years when it was Justin Fields, and you got your answer, and they moved on. This roster is now close enough to win. Otherwise, you could just make that argument like for any team any year about their quarterback.
Hold on. This is a rookie quarterback drafted number 1 overall. There isn't anything on the Bears roster that's even within range of how important it is with what happens with this guy.
Again, totally disagree. You drafted a guy number 9 overall, and if the quarterback ends up not making it, he better still be good.
Yeah, he's not going to be.
That's Kevin White. How many years have we spent talking about Kevin White and how big of a bust that is?
Dude.
Just because Rome Odunze came in with the 9th pick behind Caleb Williams doesn't mean that he doesn't matter as much as that Kevin White pick mattered.
Of course.
He's a first-round pick. This is not just about Caleb.
Of course he matters, and he's not going to be good if the quarterback sucks. That's not.
That's inaccurate. DJ Moore was pretty damn good last year.
Listen, Rome Odunze is not going to get to his full Rome Odunze if Caleb Williams can't play, right? Will Rome Odunze be a better long-term wide receiver in the NFL if let's just say the Bears waited 5 weeks to get him on the field, and then all of a sudden Caleb figured out whatever he was missing in the preseason, then he comes out and he's nails. How good is that for Rome Odunze? Wouldn't it be better for Rome Odunze in that situation versus let's see if what we can squeeze out of him with Tyson Bagent or with Caleb who can't play? With Caleb who can't play? I don't
even understand what you're saying anymore, to be honest.
Forget the Tyson Bagent, but I just got confused. The point is this. Would you rather have, take this theory.
I'd rather not waste everything they did from literally the moment the season ended. Every single move was to build the situation for Caleb to play and to play well. And you're coming here on June 24th and being like, maybe he shouldn't play.
I'm asking you a question. Okay, hold on. If he looks bad in the preseason, Hoge, what do you do?
I play him week 1.
Yeah, I still play him, Carm.
Because he needs to play.
Okay, I disagree. Okay, fine. Then that's fine. Then I disagree. I absolutely disagree.
What are you gaining by sitting him? Like what? Like literally, I want specifics.
He's not ready. If he's not,
what does he gain by sitting?
He gains time outside of the spotlight to work on his things.
So he magically, this whole concern about he's too much of a playmaker and he's just going to somehow learn how to not do that from being on the bench watching Tyson Bagent play football.
Yes, he would need to. If he really was not there, then I wouldn't just throw him to the wolves. The Bears have made this is what they do. Mitch Trubisky was not ready to play. They threw him out there because Mike Glennon sucked.
Yeah, but the thing you're missing, if you're going to go back to all these random quarterbacks you brought up, was that, but who were they sitting behind? Because you didn't mention those names. You didn't mention that Aaron Rodgers was sitting behind a Hall of Famer. You didn't mention that Tom Brady was sitting behind Drew Bledsoe, who was also a first-round draft pick and was pretty damn decent.
Oh, hold on. Tua, who led the NFL in yards last year, was sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's middle of the road dudes all over the place. They're not just all sitting behind Hall of Famers. If you go back in time, Alex Smith is middle of the road, decent quarterback.
But you just brought up a guy who doesn't even like.
I would say this, Mark.
There's still questions about Tua. He hasn't made it.
There is, for sure. I think that
but he was still their prized dude.
I'm just saying you changed your argument to fit a quarterback that was not anywhere near Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers' level.
I don't think the point is who they sat behind.
It matters. My question to you was, what is he gaining by not playing versus playing?
He would be learning. He would be getting comfortable in the system. He would be getting himself acclimated to the NFL.
You're missing the point of sitting. The point of sitting to avoid what happened to Justin Fields, throwing him out there in a situation
Bad
where he's got no
tendencies.
chance to win, especially after not getting the first team reps all offseason. Okay? So it's there's not there's some magical class you go through where you're just sitting on the bench learning everything. It's just making sure that you're in a situation to have success.
You're not shockingly, no one is getting the hype. I'm not saying to sit.
Aaron
him.
Rodgers didn't sit because he had to develop. He sat because they had a Hall of Fame quarterback to start. Same thing with Jordan Love.
That's that situation. I'm not going to go through every situation.
Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. They had a first-rounder playing. It wasn't until
But you're missing.
Drew Bledsoe got hurt and they realized that Tom Brady was coming along pretty good. It wasn't some mastermind plan.
You're missing the hypothetical though. I'm talking about him not looking good. If he doesn't look good, you're plowing straight ahead.
Yeah, I already told you the situation in which I don't play him is if DJ Moore dies and Rome Odunze gets hurt, Keenan Allen's out there.
Okay.
He's not playing.
Okay.
have a center.
Darnell Wright.
Okay.
And Tevin Jenkins
Okay, that's
get
fine.
lost to sea.
That's fine.
And if all those things happen and none of them are there to insulate this quarterback that literally every single move you made this offseason is to get him out there in week 1 and play him, that's the situation I don't play him.
Okay. All right. To me, it matters how he looks in the preseason. I expect him to look good. I expect him to be playing week 1. Please understand the nuance to those who want to throw me off the balcony, Braggs. I'm talking about the nuance. I'm not saying that I don't want him to play week 1. I'm saying that I want to see how he does in the preseason, and I want to have his best interest at the forefront of every decision they make. I don't care that they drafted Rome Odunze and got freaking Keenan Allen. You still have, I have no idea who's playing center. I have no idea if Tevin Jenkins is going to be healthy. Nate Davis may or may not show up. These are the people that are protecting him. There are some variables here that could happen in the preseason where it might not be in his best interest. I'm looking at you. Sure, I'd love to see the Bears in the playoffs this year. I'd love to see him cross over the 8.5 win barrier that where Vegas is putting it at. I'd love to see all of that. But what I'd really like to see is the Bears win a Super Bowl one day. And so it matters to me. It matters to me how he looks. Period.
People are asking Poppy
Now-
to disown you.
And Kevin, the store, my guy, naked man across the way, says he'll catch me. He's in the alley. Y'all should thank me for this. I am bringing up a real thing. And I know that, by the way, I know they're not going to do
You're
this.
not bringing up a real thing because there's no situation, unless he's hurt, that he's not on the field for the first offensive snap against the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, I will remind you of this conversation during the season. I hope I don't have to, but I'm going to bet that I will.
And in what context?
In the
that he's struggling in week 5 and you're going to make an argument that he should have sat week 1?
Maybe. I hope that doesn't happen. Okay. But how's this? You're going to need a little perspective this season. I'm sure that you'll find it, Hoge, and I'm sure you will too, Nick.
That's a different conversation. No one is sitting here saying he's going to be great right away.
So there's plenty of people.
I am telling you he needs to play.
Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you,
he's going to take his lumps. He's going to throw his interceptions. He probably will have a bad preseason game.
And I'm telling you,
he'll probably also have a preseason game where he looks unbelievable, and that's unrealistic too.
Great, I hope he does, and then I'll calm down. But the fact of the matter is, what did you call his day at OTAs? The day that we got to see that was bad. What did you call it?
Yeah, the one that you just brought up.
But here's the thing.
What did you call it, though?
It's
the worst quarterback practice I'd ever seen.
The worst quarterback practice you'd ever seen.
But it's a day.
Yeah.
I think there was one. He had one bad day, though.
And notice
one day.
But notice how it didn't.
It was one. Now, all the other practices, you would say, like, you
I'm
would never
still
say
right where I've been
that.
this entire time, despite that. I'm not making rash, weird takes that he shouldn't play because of one bad practice. Because you didn't mention the other 7-on-7s, which were virtually perfect.
Okay,
you only mentioned the bad one where he ran out of bounds those 2 times.
Again, I know nuance is tough for all in the world. I'm not saying he shouldn't play. I'm saying if he stinks early on, he shouldn't play. That is not really that big of a bold take.
Okay.
And I am saying that I read that article by Tyler Dunn, and I shouldn't have read it today because it was freaking me out. Now what do we got going on here? Everybody breathe.
This is a good time to introduce the new pharmaceuticals that Joey made.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
That is a pharmaceutical.
Thank you.
If he sucks, he shouldn't play. Okay.
No. Just throw him out there. Let's just say, no, Justin.
You're creating a problem before there is one.
He hasn't sucked yet. Hopefully he doesn't
See
suck.
your future. Be your future. Imagine the possibilities. Talk about everything. This is what professional elite organizations do. This is what we did on the CHGO softball team, which allowed us to get to the mountaintop.
9 minutes and 10 seconds left in this show, and I'd like to.
We have super chats, diehards.
Yes.
All right. Now, listen. And to the chat, I love every single one of you, even the people
Won't
that.
stop.
What?
That's my third attempt to try to change the subject.
All right, fine. Change the subject, Hoge. I'll stop talking. You're welcome.
Do we have super chats or
We'll start
no?
talking again.
We do not.
Thank you.
No super chats?
Yeah. We're fortunate we have anybody watching anymore.
For the record, that was the best part of the show. Dominant.
I disagree.
Brilliantly created by Carm. Thank you, Carm. Once again.
JJ Stankevitz, you want to come back to Chicago?
I mean,
and host
might as
the
well
show?
add him to the list of people who should replace me.
Where did he sit?
There's a line of about, 48,000 at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Including
Large
TWE who wants Poppy to take over.
Can I take some shots at something else?
May
I
or may
wasn't
not
sure
be
if I
getting
was gonna-
Poppy today. Okay. Go ahead. Can't get a response. Am I getting the dog? Am I not getting the dog? Not getting the dog.
What did he say when he got in today? He claimed that he was on today. He said Thursday was an off day, but today
Thursday
he's
was an
got
off
it.
day, yeah.
Today he's got it. Yeah. That's what you said in the meeting.
We got one super. From Braggs in the stands. Why is Cram so stupid?
Hey, Gregory. You're my hero, buddy. Just let's leave it at that.
Okay, I got to back things up. We're seriously on a time crunch today. We have to be out by 1:10, and there's something I wanted to address because I don't know if you guys saw this last week. Did you guys see our friend Greg Esposito from PHNX fire away at the city
I saw this,
of
yeah.
Chicago?
Saw a little bit of it.
So we don't have the video queued up. You can find it on social media. Maybe we'll tweet it out later. But I have to say, we started this, and quite frankly, when I say we, I don't even mean that like I'm trying to be humble here and take any of the blame, because I'm pretty sure it was all Kevin Kaduk, and he's to blame completely. Because it was like the 31st anniversary of the Bulls beating the Suns.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yep.
And he put a video out, but instead of just putting it out like on this day, he directed it at PHNX and totally ruined their day. So we did start this, but Espo decided to come back with a completely inaccurate and ridiculous rant on the city of Chicago. And let me tell you, on Saturday I had a great day with my wife. We had some freedom away from the kids. We came down, spent the day in the city, this beautiful city we have here in Chicago. Spent the day by the river, and we went to the Justin Timberlake concert at night. And it was outstanding. And all I could think almost this entire time, not really, it wasn't like he was in my head that entire time, but pound for pound, this time of year, there is no better city in the frickin' world than Chicago. And there just isn't. I'm not saying that that's the case in March or January, because there are plenty other times of year where it's not. But right now, it is. So Espo brought up how much it snows here.
It doesn't.
I had to clear my driveway twice last year. Snow is not really a problem. It doesn't dump snow here. It's really not that
anymore.
big of a deal. Every once in a while, like every 10 years, we get some crazy snowstorm. But that's pretty much what it's become to. 99 degrees with humidity. This isn't South Carolina, dude. It's not Texas.
Florida, no.
Saturday was actually what you would call one of the more uncomfortable days. It was 90 degrees with high humidity. And guess where all the people were? Out and about on every inch of the city. The waterways were packed. The Riverwalk was packed. Downtown, everyone was out and about. Unlike in Phoenix, where it's 110 degrees and everybody's inside their house, which is every single one is the same sand color.
Yeah,
So creative when you fly in there and everything's just brown. He took shots at skyscrapers. What's wrong with buildings? Got these beautiful buildings, and you're walking down the river and Lake Michigan, and the water's turquoise. It's like you combine the Caribbean with one of the best skylines there is. Like, what are we even talking about here? Then he takes shots at our pizza.
Wow.
Without realizing he's not talking about the right pizza.
Yep.
Deep dish is not Chicago pizza. Tavern-style pizza is Chicago pizza. So that was just a miss altogether. I could go on and on. I really don't need to. I think anybody out there in the world understands that Chicago is better than Phoenix, which, by the way, I like Phoenix. I got no problem with it.
We'll be there later in the year.
The one part he was right is, yes, we do migrate there. Specifically, I like to migrate there in the spring when I'm sick of the cold temperatures here, which is a thing you could have actually brought up. Because way worse than 90 degrees and a little bit of humidity is how long winter lasts here. I don't like that part.
Yeah, well, great rant. Chicago's the greatest. I'll be doing my own show about the show that I just talked about on the sidewalk after the show. I might go Discord to just work this one out.
In the great city of Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the
It's
great city
That's
of
all
Chicago.
he can keep thinking about.
Yeah, we got to do our super chats right now, Hoge, because you just went on a 7-minute rant up until the.
We didn't have. That's why I asked if we had super chats.
They were. If you were paying attention to the chat, you would have seen they were flying in. $5 from Stephen D. Carm here advocating for what didn't work for the last two guys. Stephen D. You weren't listening. I was actually advocating for us not to do that again. Of course, everybody else is full steam ahead. Just like you get Justin out there. It's got to play. Oh, I'm sorry. We just killed you in game one that they're still talking about. Next up is Tito.
I like Tito.
The first ever Tito.
I like Tito's.
Pizzicor, maybe not related to Pizzatola. Carm, you're getting everyone's blood pressure up. You learn more as you play, especially when you have a decent team surrounding you. Okay, Tito, apologize for the blood pressure, but that is what I'm here for. Pizzitola, here's $2 for some Advil. Pizzitola, you're good at what you do. You are my Pizzitola. And lastly,
I need something stronger.
Sunny side. Sunny side.
drop out some Sunny Side into a little bourbon. Jake's got an Angel Envy bottle in his office that I've been thinking about stealing. $9.99 from Crystal Simone, the greatest crystal of all time, my hero. Getting applause in the background from Joey. Crystal, thank you. Hey guys, I can't let you have no supers. Hope you all have a great weekend and an amazing upcoming week. Love you guys.
Thank you, Crystal. You're amazing.
Now we can go. 90 seconds ahead of schedule.
Any other shout-outs? Oh, shout-out to Nick's Place. He recommended Abba, where he proposed to his girlfriend last week. We went there for brunch yesterday. It was fantastic.
Gotta go to Abba. Telling you. Don't get bad recommendations.
That's a good one.
Carm's recommending Panera. Nick's
And
got
the
Abba.
Sip Club. Sounds like a good deal, though. Not gonna lie.
I do love my friends at Panera, and Abba's amazing. I had a great time today. You guys were fun to be with.
All right, go win softball tonight.
Shout out to our guy, Charlie the Bacon guy, who, on the verge of 5-0 here. Axios coming in tonight. They don't have a chance. Might as well not show up. But
Last time you said that,
I
didn't go well.
I almost sabotaged the
I
team.
mean, the last time we lost a game was about, I don't know, 3 years ago. We lost. How many games? What did we lose? 2 games last year?
I don't know. Last time you had a good take.
Certainly Axios. Certainly Axios. No chance. I love every single one of you, and I will be taking, if you'd like to just say thank you to me on Twitter today. By the way, shout out to Dave Swirsky, the greatest. Our duet is out. He's on the show tomorrow. Hoge has got an amazing part in it that
We were going to play it today, but
just didn't happen. It's fine. Tomorrow's the day. We're
artists.
doing the whole show on a loop. Be
Oh.
there.
last day before vacation. might advance that to tomorrow now.
Yeah.
We got to go. We will talk to you tomorrow at noon.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
We all city like the mayor.